doing something. And this includes little kids. They're actually given tasks to do. When you see somebody working like that, just simply to survive, and you got an extra can of beans, you make sure that they got it. Right. That's just how it is. You actually look at that and go, man, that little kid's hungry. And you open a can of beans and you make sure that sometimes you stop and you sit down and you make sure that they eat it. Sure, you can use the can for a landmine later. Yeah, well, collect the can, take it with you. But you see people that are little kids that are bony. I mean, their bones are sticking out because they hadn't had enough to eat. And the reason is that they got fish heads and rice to eat, maybe. That message with you. You remember these things. So, I don't see it as a right. Here we are. We're extraordinarily wealthy. We got the best weapons in the world. We're going to take automatic weapons, M16s, and grenades, and go through and kill everybody? Well, you give me a good reason, and I'll consider that. If somebody's shooting at me, that's different. These people not only didn't have any weapons, but they would actually come in the night, and they would come up to our certain positions, and say, hey, man, yeah, who is it? And they'd tell you their name. And you say, okay, and you'd ask them a question. They'd answer the question correctly, you knew you was talking to the right person. They didn't answer the question correctly, you pulled the trigger. Right. But they would tell, hey, you got a bunch of them coming at you from the other side over that way in that little gully. And 9 times out of 10, it was correct. And this one little village, and these villages were all over, friendly villages, and we made sure they had plenty to eat. We made sure any kind of needs they had were taken care of. We give them medical care, you name it. I mean, this was an asset to us because unless you've been in the jungle, or another example would be in the sand, unless you've been in a condition of that nature, you got no clue. So this was my reason for wanting to abscond with a politician, bring him over and run him to a couple of rice paddies, get him a couple of good sets of leeches going on his butt, and put him back. Give him some kind of first-hand taste.
And these people you're describing are the ones that you were given the Category 1 seek and destroy orders against.
Yes, and we told them no. Most of the people in our unit knew for a fact that these were friendlies. We had dealt with them. They invite us in and would feed us when they didn't have any food hardly.
I mean, what was the reasoning? Did you guys try to understand why they would want this done? I mean, what could possibly...
Never did find out the reason for the order. The orders were arbitrary in a lot of cases.
Right.
There's a book about Vietnam called The Bright and Shining Lie, and I suggest everybody get a hold of a copy of it, and it will give you a good idea as to what kind of a mess that was. Now, what we're dealing with here is something a little different. A lot of people say, ooh, insurrectionist. No, because you're not trying to infiltrate a government and take it over. You're not an invader. You're not trying to bring a bunch of people in, unlike certain people in certain agencies that like to play games with guns across the border down south. Unlike those people, you're not trying to do any of that. It's not illegal because it's a notification process only. But it does give the military the authority, in terms of civilian authority, under the Constitution, to take action according to the betterment of our way of life. This restores the American dream of mom and apple pie, being able to be peaceful and not have to worry about a whole lot of things.
Well, I would assume that the majority of retired personnel from the military, active personnel from the military, special forces, black operations guys, that most of the people who are hearing this are going to realize that if something like this starts to happen, they want to be involved. But right now, they're feeling like they've been given the mushroom treatment. They're sitting in the dark being fed a lot of BS. And let's assume that most of these people want to get involved. They want to know what to do once the time comes. What do you tell them?
Look at it in terms of following the constitutional premise of lawful order. A lawful order will not put you into a police situation. It does not call for roadblocks. It does not call for martial law. It does not in any way interfere directly with the civilian population and its operation. What a lawful order does is it allows you to stay out of those areas in such a fashion that you can carry out whatever duty it is, and it could be any kind of a thing. It could be playing war games or whatever, maneuvers. You might go down and assist somebody with logs. You never know. It could be strictly a preparedness or ready training thing. Well, we got to get these guys ready, see how quick they can get their gear, put them in the truck, take them over here, and can you hump up over that hill? How long does that take? These kinds of things are lawful orders. If there were to be an invasion, and I understand that that's been offered and turned down, the difference between that is you're going to have people trying to come across the border for the strict purpose of taking you out. That's different. The other part of this was I was requested to contact as many of the underground as I could, to include militias, to include freedom groups, to include the people by themselves that just happen to have a gun, or kind of like me, too much hillbilly, too red over the neck, and I got too many guns and live in the woods. The premise for my contacting those people was to tell them to get ready, because this is coming. It's not going to be stopped, and it's coming a lot sooner than people think. And the other part of it is, don't, under any circumstances, engage our military. That's not what this is about. You find out from them, what's up? Oh, we're just going down here. Okay. Sometimes some of these people will be contacted to assist them. In other words, this is going to be an all-out effort in this country, and it's going to take a lot of people. There are a considerable number who need to be removed from office or their responsibilities and contained, retained, and arrested. Now, my understanding is they're planning to populate the FEMA camps with all these dinks, and I feel that's appropriate. They build them for us. Now they go take a camping trip in them.
Karma is a bitch.
Yeah, so I'm looking at that. Okay, afterwards, doing this is not, to me, as extraordinarily anxietal as a lot of people would think. I'm not as concerned with this part of it as I am what comes after. There's going to be some interruption. In other words, you need to get some extra toilet paper and a few extra canned goods, and I'm talking about have enough for, say, a month or two. And that should basically cover the lapse in time. Not all the trucks are going to be running. So there's grocery that gets cleaned out when everybody thinks that the world's gone mad, or like they do during a hurricane.
Right.
Then, if it doesn't get resupplied, what are you going to do? Well, this is why we got extra food. This is why a lot of people up here do. This is why people up here raise their own gardens. Simply, you can stuff and you put it up. And having that extra not only is less expensive than going to the grocery, but just in case something does screw up real bad, and it's coming, for the, say, 10 days, I don't know how many people consider the importance of this, but to me, being civilized does equate to the use of certain hygienic items, and one of those that I know of that to me is extraordinarily important is simple, plain old toilet paper. It might behoove people to think about not being able to go down to the grocery when you run out and get some more. And I'm going to tell you, newspaper doesn't make it. It's hard on certain things that you don't want to rough up. Well, very simply, you have to think in terms of what do you use, okay, and what do you use commonly, and what are the convenience items that might not be part of a shipment that does make it through, okay, or does get to you, it's not considered a survival level item. Well, toilet paper, simple tissues for your nose, sanitary napkins for ladies.
And people can subsist on simple rice and beans. All these elaborate products that a lot of these freedom sites are selling are not really necessary. It might make it more comfortable, but if somebody's really at poverty level, you can get by with just buying some kidney beans and some brown rice and just keep that in your pantry.
Yeah, exactly. It doesn't take a lot. The idea is this, okay? Lay up some extra toilet paper. If you're lucky, find it on sale, go at it that way. If you find something that you know really tastes extraordinarily good, but it's a $1.49 and they got the other ones for 2 for $1, take the 2 for $1. It's not that much different, and you can make out just fine on it. Add a little bit of spices to it, and you're good. But anyway, the survival part, I don't think is going to be all that critical, and I'll tell you why. The plan itself reiterates many times, the portion that I read, that this is to be a non-interruptive, non-chaotic, peaceful, meaning non-shooting type of an action. And that is an extraordinary difference between all these people out here saying, oh boy, rosin up your gun, get your bullets out, praise the Lord and pass the ammunition, they're coming. Well, yeah, they're going down the road because they usually go over and secure the power plant that the bad guys would like to blow up.
And I would also encourage people, because I know, as I said, there are many people out there who are playing a game, and the game is that everything they hear must not be true. So they're going to say every single thing this guy Drake is saying is not true, and this is all a pretext for martial law and for New World Order. So I would say to them, and you can address them as well, but I want to say something first, and that is, let's realistically consider that if arrests start to be made and that evidence is provided, that is progress no matter what. Even if it is ultimately, and that might be as far as they could think of it in their own mind, one negative faction against another negative faction. The fact is, let's be honest, how many bankers went to jail during the bailouts? How many people have ever been held accountable for anything? If we start seeing real accountability, by God, that's progress, and I don't care what you think, you've got to be able to see that it's a step forward no matter what. If you start seeing mass arrests, something has changed, and it breaks out of that thing that goes back to the Masons, which is everybody who's in on it gets a free pass.
Exactly. My suggestion is to, yes, be ready, but also relax, be calm, cool, and collected, and slow to pull the trigger. Unless somebody acts unfriendly towards you, I wouldn't necessarily take any aggressive action toward them. Wait and see. Yeah, you can let them walk right up to you. It doesn't matter. As I said, this plan calls for a combination of the things that our original documents call for. And the basis of this is to officially remove those people who tax you to death for no good reason other than to put it in their pocket. This is to remove the private central banking system. This is to remove a whole load of regulations and regulatory agencies that don't serve any purpose other than control. In other words, this is the freedom. Now, with that freedom comes the responsibility of being what you're supposed to be to everybody that you come across. This is contained in the Golden Rule. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. Say hi to somebody. Wouldn't you like somebody to say hi and wave at you? It feels good. Okay?
Well, let me also point out that in my book, The Sourcefield Investigations, I quote from the American Federation of Scientists, which says that there's been over 5,000 patents that were classified for national security, and this includes automatically any patent that gets above 70% efficiency at converting energy is automatically classified. So what that means is anybody who invents anything that could challenge oil, you will never see it. Wow. And all that stuff needs to be released. And I know that that's part of what you all are planning on doing here.
Well, that's part of the plan, but some of that is already coming out, too.
Right.
And the reason for that is that the bad guys, I'll say, have lost a considerable amount of a combination of things. One of those is their power base. They can't say, well, I'm the mucky muck, do so, and have it done. The other part is they don't have the cash on hand, the finances, to pay the bad guys that work for them.
Yeah, mercenaries don't work if you don't pay their salary.
Exactly. So you get a situation where they have lost most of their power. They're beginning to lose most of the finance.